Other shows may talk football, but we grab it by the balls. Have a look at what's in tonight's lineup.
Football-wise, it was a complete contrast to over here, and it took me at least 6 months to adapt. It was that difficult.
I don't tend to do my laces up before the start of the game, so that's possibly why people got that idea.
I've seen referees probably drop 2 clangers in a game, and they've been pilloried in the press by the managers next day. Two mistakes. I've seen players on 20 grand a week knock the ball over the bar in the 6-yard box.
Probably the most talented player in the British Isles. But with every talented player, that he has to develop other parts of his game, or eventually that he's only one-dimensional.
I mean, you guys, you are the original yo-yo team, aren't you? Why do you bother to come up?
As the crow flies, it's just 3 miles from Manchester United's Old Trafford ground to Littleton Road playing fields. Yet in footballing terms, the Premier League and the Salford Sunday League are worlds apart.
Tonight's show, some people might say, is X-rated. My 2 guests tonight are Terry Neill and Brian Stein. Terry, ex-Arsenal, ex-Tottenham, ex-Northern Ireland. Brian Stein, ex-Luton, ex-Nantes. We're gonna try and bring the lads in tonight. Obviously, we're down the boozer again, as we normally are on a Wednesday night, and we've got Terry and Brian here just to try and get us through a little bit about the European scene at the moment. Terry, we've made better progress this year in Europe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has got to do with the influx. A lot of people I know are against the influx of not only foreign players into the Premiership and even the First Division, all the leagues over here, but the coaches and everything like that. But I think that's been a great benefit as well. And as far as I'm concerned, from a purely selfish point of view, that can only be good for us, because I want us once again to rule the world from here. Even if we got the odd foreigner in who's not called Jones or Neill. Or
Stein.
What's wrong with Steve? Good old Scottish name.
Steenie, just on a quick note, if you were still playing, would you have gone for Jamaica as well?
No, I think I'd gone for Wales. Boy,
I find that really amusing. With you two, with your Irish bit,
I had the option.
How can you ask him that question when you were doing, you've not done the Welsh bit, there was the Irish bit as well. I'm the only one around here who seems to know where he comes from, what he's doing, who he's playing for.
Yeah, but Hemel Hempstead ain't got a national side, Terry, so I was struggling.
Not yet.
Steenie, what is it like playing abroad?
Oh, it's a different world. I think England now, they've adapted. They've gone abroad into Europe and further afield, and they've taken the good bits and brought it back to England. Whilst before, I think the Europeans used to come to England, got all the good bits from England, and incorporated that into their game. And we've done that, but we used to be like dinosaurs. We thought England was the best. Even when I went to play in France 7 years ago.
Was it a culture shock for you?
It was. Football-wise, it was a complete contrast to over here. And it took me at least 6 months to adapt. It was that difficult.
And they got rid of you after 5.
Yeah. Yeah, but I got the money.
Well, that was the day after you passed the ball correctly.
Terry, did you never ever want to be a manager in Europe? Did you think you had anything to give there, that side of it?
Yeah, there were lots of opportunities for me, and I even had a couple of days, a couple of bottles of champagne as well, with Terry Venables, long before he went to Barcelona. And we had, well, you may or may not know how it happens sometimes. You have sort of Spanish 5-hour lunch and a bit of lashings of Rioja and champagne and everything like that. And by the end of it, we were going to take over the Spanish world, Terry and I, but I left it to Terry in the end with Barcelona, and great job he did there as well. It was something, even as a player, that I would have, if I'd left the Arsenal, and not many people of their own volition leave the Arsenal, do they? There were a few opportunities. There was one occasion in the mid-60s to go to Paris. I'd been dropped for a couple of games. You know how stroppy I can get, but I've been dropped for a couple of games. And I thought, oh, if they don't want me, I'll go abroad. Because I didn't want to go to any other team in Great Britain. I would want to go abroad. Exactly, as Brian said, you know, for the experience, the other things that it adds to your life as well, quite apart from the football, which I think you probably found, didn't you, Brian?
Unbelievable. My family, they were bilingual.
Speak French now, whenever you
Oh, they were bilingual.
You're really poor.
So it was a great experience, you know, football-wise, and for my family, because it brought them on.
But is that, do the clubs channel everything into you playing well?
Of course they do. They look at your diet, you know, everything's catered for. You know, you have so many tests, you wouldn't believe it, which I'd never had in England. Mind you, I was at Luton. Honestly, we used to have tests, we used to have 2 pre-seasons, and obviously the training, which, you know, the coaches are bringing over here now, where you train twice a day. Never been heard of in England. You know, pre-season you do it a little bit, but over there, you know, they expect you to eat properly, drink properly, water that is.
Well, do you think now, because some people will argue for and against this, and I know the lads in the pub, most of them will be against it, saying we're doing so well now because we're bringing foreign coaches over or foreign manners.
No, I think what we're getting now is, and I think it will pan out over once the Bosman ruling really kicks in, which is just beginning to now, but over the next year or two, I think, or hopefully, we will get the best of all worlds. Because that's what we've always needed.
The British youngsters won't though, Terry, will they?
Well, I think they will. I think it will filter down there. If you look at, for instance, Manchester United, who are, as you are painfully aware, over the last
Good
month or so.
side in the last 45 minutes.
But they have... Well, what were you doing then? They actually, quite apart from bringing in 1 or 2 foreigners, they have really spent a lot of time and worked very hard on producing their own kids. Now, if you look at the people behind the scenes at Arsenal Football Club, Don Howe, Chippy Brady, Don Givens, people like that, they are recognising that it's a mixture of both, and I think that's what we've got to go for in the end.
Well,
I think that's exactly right.
Big discussion.
Glenn Hoddle, he went abroad, he played for Monaco, and you can see his style, even at Chelsea, where...
But he come back a born-again Christian. We don't want too many of them back.
For most of his career, Steve Claridge has plied his trade at the bargain basement end of the professional game. Now he's past 30 and playing in the Premiership, and who knows what the future might hold. So Steve, you find yourself past your 30th birthday suddenly playing in the Premiership. Has it been like a bit of a fairy tale for you?
Well, fairy tales don't normally last, I think it's been about 12, 14 years it's taken me to get there, so they don't tend to last that long, but that was nice. It was nice, certainly nice to get there, and the way and the manner we achieved it was extra special. And I mean, we've had a year there now. We've done well, confounded the experts, so to speak, and we're enjoying it.
Do you think, from your own perspective, though, that you'd enjoy it more or appreciate it more having been on the other side of the football tracks?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, we've got lads at the club now who aren't actually playing in the team, looking to leave. And they don't particularly want to drop down, but it's probably a step into the unknown for them. But it holds no fears for me, and when that time comes, I'll probably make my way back down through the leagues, just like as I have coming up through them. So it definitely makes you realise when you play down in those teams that it's hard work at times, and you do appreciate it more when the going's good, like it has been for the last 18 months.
I think it's fair to say that you've got a bit of a reputation for being... David Pleat, for example, described you as eccentric. Is that fair?
I would imagine that's quite kind, actually, eccentric. I've been called more far-reaching names than that, but yeah, probably. I mean, it's funny how many times that people actually do the things that I tend to do things probably a little bit different sometimes than other people, but some of them do come round to my way of thinking, and they don't actually tell you about it, but they do it without me knowing. So, no, I mean, some of the things that do make sense, some of the things are probably absolutely daft.
Well, tell us a little bit about one thing which is pure Steve Claridge, which is the odd boots in the bag.
Well, I've got to say that's the X now, because I've been fairly good in that respect.
Well, you've started wearing matching boots?
I have, yeah. I'm afraid. I did that for the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I did have a little bit of trouble before. I was used to get a nice pair of boots, and then obviously one goes before the other. Generally, in my case, it's the right foot because that's the only one that I use. So I'll keep the left one, and sometimes the make would no longer be made, or I couldn't find a pair of boots that I liked, so I'd try another make and that would be on. So I'd have 2 different makes on at the same time. And then I used to carry sort of lots of different boots, because I used to think if I was having a bad game, I'd change my boots and hopefully change for the better.
Was it true you always used to leave it till 5 to 3 to decide which 2 you were going to wear?
No, not really. No, I don't tend to do my laces up before the start of the game, so that's possibly why people got that idea.
You don't do your laces up on your boots?
Not really. So I do them up obviously just before the game though. So I don't. That's probably why people got the impression that I leave it till late.
When you were playing football lower down the leagues and you looked at the top level of football, did you ever really think that you were going to make it right to the level that you have?
Yeah, I thought probably from day one. You do need a little bit of luck. There's no doubt about that. But you've got to have you really have got to have a lot of self confidence, and be honest with yourself. And I thought then, if I gave it my best crack and I didn't make it, that's fair enough. I couldn't do any more. And fortunately, I got that lucky break, and things went right for me. And I played well at a good time. A time when all the other lads went to Leicester, and they also played well. And fortunately, I got there in the end. And it's not, to be fair, if I hadn't made it, it's not something that I would hanker over. As long as you give it your best shot, you can't do any more than that.
But in fairness, you've done it the hard way, because you've been taking medication for your heart since you were 12, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't tend to like making excuses or anything. Yeah, I take a tablet for my heart. I take a tablet for. Actually, got a chemical in my body which doesn't produce properly called thyroxine, which I have to take thyroid tablets for that. It's just bits and pieces. It doesn't really doesn't set me back or anything like that. It's just something that you got to overcome.
But you have plied your trade at a few places. When you look back, do you ever regret that you perhaps didn't get to a higher level when you were 23, 24?
Yeah, probably, having said that. But I had some good times along the way. I met some really nice people. You never know. If I'd have got there earlier, I might not have been ready for it. I might have come straight back down like a lot of other young lads at big clubs. So you'd like to think that you probably got there when the timing was right, and and when you were probably, how can you say it? When you're probably best suited to it.
Hi, tonight I'm at Ewood at the Fox and Hounds, and I'm with Bolton and Blackburn fans. Blackburn, are you ever going to be anything other than one season wonders?
Well, I think this season's proving that we're not one season wonders to be where we are in the league this year. We've been second and third more or less all the season, so you can't say we're one season wonders. All right, we dipped after we won the championship, but I think that was more down to the management than anything else. We're not buying the right type of players. We bought squad players instead of proven internationals that we needed at the time when we were going into Europe.
I would say this too, as don't you feel though that the true gulf between being the best and being elsewhere in the Premiership was shown when you came to Old Trafford this season?
We did do it.
Hang on a minute.
We
two
did
own
the
goals,
right.
2 breakaways. But apart from that, we
made a draw to a piece. We scored 2 at goals.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately, wrong net.
We still got a goal.
Lucky beat us.
What was the score when
the bottom of the league?
3-1.
3-1.
3-1, but they scored that one at last minute. Nathan Blake should have sewn it up for a draw, but he missed from like 4 yards out.
I mean, you guys, you are the original yo-yo team, aren't you? Why do you bother to come up? Why do you bother to come up?
Money.
Yeah?
They want the money. And go back down for the fans.
But I mean, last
season
you absolutely flattened.
I know.
You ran away with the First Division title like no other team has run away with it.
Come to us, we'll do that next year.
We might have to do it again, yeah.
But don't you want to stay up? Wouldn't you like to
We'll
consolidate?
stay up this time.
What do you think you need to do to stay up? other than by ageing unproven strikers. Like
What have you got against Bob Taylor?
Yeah,
He
apart from
played
his
well
missing
last
the,
week.
yeah, he did, but he just kept missing, didn't he? I saw
The
that.
goalkeeper got his foot in the way as well.
If he'd scored in that first minute, it would have been a completely different game, wouldn't
Definitely,
it?
yeah.
And he would have been a different player. I don't think he knew what had hit him. The reserves at West Bromwich Albion.
But when we're playing well, we can't be beat. Man United couldn't beat us at home this year.
Well, I know. Well, that was because Nathan Blake flattened Gary Pallister. We had 10 men, didn't we? When we should have had 11. As he got turned over.
So you need 11, do you?
We need 11 to beat anybody most of the time, yeah.
You'd have 12 though, don't you, with referee?
You're in the wrong pub.
You usually play with 14 anyway, don't you, mate?
Yeah.
You bring your referee
Well, the
and two
referee and
linesmen.
two linesmen, yeah.
And a watch keep.
Okay, but listen, we're not here to discuss Manchester United. We're here to discuss Bolton and Blackburn. I'm very happy to sit.
I'm glad you've said that. We're just here to talk about football.
Okay. Okay, when are Blackburn going to finish the ground too? Because, I mean, you've got a beautiful ground apart from the one stand. And
The problem is the river. To extend it, they have to go over the river, and it's talking a
just
lot more
impossible,
cost.
yeah.
And I don't know whether the council would allow it or whatever. I don't know. I don't know about that side of it. But he said if the ground does need developing again, that they will do it.
they will do it. Like, I mean, we had Manchester United rather had to buy all
I
the
thought you
land
weren't going to
behind.
talk about Manchester United. We're talking about football tonight.
Oops, okay, I will try not to mention them anymore. But, I mean, where do you feel Blackburn are going to be? Do you think if Jack Walker ever pulled out, what can you see happening to the club then?
We'll probably win the league again.
Second division.
I don't know. You can only go off what he said. He said the money's there in trust funds and whatever to keep the club as where it is now in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And as he said at the end of last season, that we'll never ever be in that position again where we'll be struggling in the Premier League. He said he wouldn't allow it to happen.
He's going to. And do you think Roy Hodgson's done a good job? I mean,
Fantastic
you must
job.
be thrilled.
Excellent job.
Brilliant.
Excellent job.
Because he hasn't bought in that many players, has
No,
he?
he hasn't, no.
Hencho, Darlin, who's barely played.
I think Bolton have spent more on players this season than Blackburn have, and look where they are. So I think that.
Roy Hodgson's about £12 million.
They're
all out.
Yeah, we had a lot of injuries.
You're here again with an
All
odd
got them,
story. It's just same as what you had
Yeah, like you
season
say, we've
before.
spent a lot of money, but we haven't got the strength in depth. Well, you've got strength in depth from years ago when you spent 2 million years ago. We've not
20
got that.
million
Yeah,
years
we've
ago,
shipped
yeah.
a lot of those players out, though, haven't we?
You
The old
signed
Signals,
Robbie Elliott
Forrest
this
and all
year.
that.
He broke his leg, yeah. We had the chance of signing him, but he failed a medical at Blackburn. But you went and signed him, so, I mean...
Yeah, but he broke his leg. That's nothing to do with any niggling injuries, thigh and all that. He broke his leg. That doesn't come up on a physio scan, does it?
Is that not an injury, that broke leg?
Yeah, but he wouldn't have had it when he started.
And Neil Cox has just come back in.
Neil Cox has just come back. We've got Fish out.
Yes.
Mark Fish.
Fish out to water.
World class player, Mark. World class.
Well, he thinks he's world class, doesn't he?
I think he's
Fish were world class. He didn't look like world class down at Ewood when we played him, when Ripley tore him inside out.
He's a young player.
Whether he stood on his head or his ass.
It was Gallagher. Gallagher did the damage with him.
Ripley destroyed him and put the balls across for Sutton Gallagher to score.
I think. I mean,
For the first 20 minutes, I know it's supposed to be a centre half. We were playing all over.
What were they on for the first 20 minutes? Because we're just asleep first 20 minutes. But after that, I thought we
What
picked
were you
up.
on? We were just playing a nice, quiet game. We didn't need to excel, did we?
I think the fitness told definitely first 20 minutes. You looked a lot fitter than us, and
you
you seemed to know what you were doing. That was the difference.
You mentioned in there about fitness. Since Roy Hodgson took over here, he brought in a fitness trainer. And you're on about injuries. At this moment in time, I think we have only got one injured player. And I think the fact that he's brought in this fitness trainer, changed the diet and the way they train and the amount of training that they do, I think that shows itself what these fitness trainers are doing. And other clubs are trying to bring them in. Tottenham's trying to bring one in. Arsenal have brought it in.
Chelsea have done it.
Chelsea have done it. They've all got fitness trainers. And I think obviously it's a thing that's come over from Italy. And obviously it's working down here because usually at this time of year we've got 4 or 5 players out with
Listen, on
injuries.
that note, we're going to have to wrap this half up, but we'll be back for more of the same.
it is a great feeling, you know, when you come off after a game, if you've worked hard and it's gone well and everybody seems to be happy and your advantages work to assist the game. It's a great feeling, but it's quite a poor feeling when you've had a bad time.
Maybe we should start having fun again instead of being serious.
Yeah.
Start scoring plenty of goals.
I think it's a more kick and run game in the First Division, isn't it?
It is more fun in the First Division.
And people would look at Andy Cole and say, well, why is he playing so well now? But people forget that he's had a continual injury problem. I mean, 2 broken legs, which is in itself a major injury.
Salford Snooker play in the 4th Division of the Salford Sunday League. They're the team that Billy built.
Get your heads up, you bunch of tarts!
Football, eh? The glory, the money, the glamour. Unless, of course, you're a man in black. If you're the referee, you're everybody's whipping boy. So I thought I'd talk to one of the best-known referees of them all. This man, Neil Midgely. Neil, would you want to be a referee in 1997?
Well, in this state, it's difficult, and it is honestly more difficult now than it was when I was refereeing, in my opinion, because particularly on the Premier League, there's so many different camera angles which make it difficult, not when you're making your decision, but in the inquests afterwards. I think the game's speeded up incredibly so since I was refereeing. But even when I was refereeing, you had to pass a fitness test as well, you know. But it is difficult when you're in your 40s and probably in some cases early 50s when you're trying to keep up with young lads at 20. Very difficult.
What about that trial by television thing? Because I remember a pal of yours, Derek Webb, the original trial by television with the Clive Allen goal. Now, every time you sneeze, there's 12 cameras on you.
Yeah, Derek Webb, that was at Coventry, I think, wasn't it, when it hit the stanchion
and came back out.
And he was a good referee, Derek Webb, in my opinion. The right type to be a referee. But of course he was kicked off the list at the end of that season, so there's a model there somewhere, isn't there? I like characters. I won't say I tried to be one myself, but it seemed to work out that way. I worked on the basis that we all know the laws of the game, and we've all got to apply them. But really it's about man management, it's about getting people to cooperate with you. Why do you want to go in your office on a Monday morning or in your factory and argue with everybody all day? Isn't it better to have cooperation rather than confrontation? If they don't want to cooperate, then you can start bringing the big stick out. And it worked for me, that, because the players in football and most sports are mickey takers. Now they're mickey taking all week. Saturday is an extension of what they're doing all week, and you've got to really join in with that a little bit. And I think they respond positively to you if you do that. You can arbitrate then. It's easier than being a referee, that, you know, being an arbitrator.
Have they taken that element of common sense out of the game, though? Because they've tried to cater for every contingency. If this happens, your response is. Does that then take away from your armoury? Just good old common sense, Neil?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's still your opinion. That's never altered the referee's opinion. And I think sometimes if you use man management techniques and get people to cooperate, that you can actually avoid the confrontation bit. I do know that there are certain mandatory things that referees have got to do today. But at the end of the day, you'll never get total consistency, will you? Because we're all different people. No matter how hard you strive for consistency, you'll never ever get total consistency, because your opinion and my opinion on a situation or an incident could be completely different.
When you get players moaning a bucketful about consistency, do you think maybe they should do the homework on individual referees, saying, well, he's going to be different from him, but week in, week out, referee A should react more or less the same way?
I think in the glory days of Leeds United, the Don Revie era, I know that he used to keep a dossier on all referees and the strengths and the weaknesses.
Do you have one on you?
Mostly weaknesses, I think, at Leeds. I never had a good time at Leeds for some reason. They were a hard side to referee, they really were. They could do round robins on you, you know, they were terrific really, but never really achieved the heights of Liverpool or Manchester United, did they? But they were a good side. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're going to weigh up the strengths and weaknesses of your opposition, then surely the referee should come into that category. Where you've got total consistency or uniformity that seems to be the aim these days, it might be a wasted exercise. But I honestly believe that if the players respond positively to the referee, you get a better game out of it.
Do you think referees today get as much fun out of the game as you got at your time as the ref?
I'm sure that if they have a good game and people thank them at the end of the game, that they get the same satisfaction that I got today. That it is a great feeling, you know, when you come off after a game, if you've worked hard and it's gone well and everybody seems to be happy and your advantages work to assist the game. It's a great feeling, but it's quite a poor feeling when you've had a bad time. There's no pleasure whatsoever, and I can assure you of this, any referee will tell you this, there's no pleasure whatsoever in having sent people from the field of play. That's no good. But if you've got to do it, you've got to do it, because referees do not make the laws of the game. They're made by the International Board. And referees have always been the Aunt Sallies, Jim. Always, and probably always will be the Aunt Sallies in football. But why should they always be blamed for every... I've seen referees probably drop 2 clangers in a game, and they've been pilloried in the press by the managers next day. Two mistakes. I've seen players on 20 grand a week knock the ball over the bar in the 6-yard box. Is that not a mistake as well? And the man that didn't make a mistake was crucified many years ago, as you're obviously aware. And people have got to realise that they don't have to agree with referees and referees' decisions. Just accept them and let's get on with playing football.
Welcome back to Ewood. I'm still with Bolton and Blackburn fans.
You said no, we don't want it
Bolton,
moving.
have you got a fitness trainer? I mean, do you think you have the staff to build a team that is capable of staying up?
Well, I mean, the Everton game, he had £15 million worth of signings on the sidelines, injured.
Yeah.
I mean, he still put out a team that played well. I mean, the problem is scoring goals. We still play nice football. We have done all season.
Yeah.
We just can't seem to score goals.
Because, I mean, last season you were knocking them in for fun.
Well, we might have to do it again.
I mean, you really were bashing them in for fun, and it just shows. And you actually play more games in the second division, 8 more games. First division rather. It's 46 games a season, so you're actually playing more games than in the Premiership.
Maybe that's what's wrong with us. Maybe we should start having fun again instead of being serious.
Yeah.
Start scoring plenty of goals.
I think it's a more kick and run game in the first division, isn't it?
It is more fun in the first division, but you seem to take teams apart. You have the players to do it, and I think once you get into Premier, some of the players perhaps aren't up to the job. They have to go to the team.
It's a big step up though.
It's a huge transition, isn't it?
And the Premier League's the best league in the world now.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say the nationwide Division 1 to second.
More, isn't it, all the time?
Yeah.
Every season, the gap's growing more because more and more international players are coming in to play for teams. And whereas I don't think it's a good thing myself personally, because I think it's going to affect the England side in years to come. Whereas our English lads aren't going to get a game. They're going to take over all these foreigners.
Went down last year. They're all up there.
They're all flying now.
The first, second, and about fourth. They're all up there.
Yeah, that will happen for years.
So we're going to have a set of yo-yos every year.
Teams what are in that first division, you've Man City, teams what aren't even challenging.
QPR.
You know,
Queen's Park Rangers, Wolves.
Man City haven't walked up. They haven't walked up to the fact.
In recent times.
City haven't walked up for about 20 years,
when they were
they think
top quality sides, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, it's a bad league to get out of, and there's some big teams down there.
Because I was talking to a friend of mine who is a great Blackburn Rovers fan. He's not so much a great Blackburn Rovers fan anymore. He is a Blackburn fan, but he doesn't come to many games. And he actually said to me that he felt that the club had lost some of its tradition and history since it's been promoted, since Jack Walker came in, because they were very happy and comfortable as the old second division, first division club. And now that you've been promoted, you've moved into the big money league. And as you said, there's no going back. Once you've
who was
tasted
happy? Who did he think were happy when we were
No, I think
team? We used to get crowds of 8,000.
Yeah, I think he felt that he could come down here. He obviously came here as a boy. He could walk into the ground, watch the game, and now he can't do that.
They can come and sit down and watch the game, can't
Yeah.
What's up with you? Do not want to pay 16 quid, do I?
No, I'm sure you could afford to.
We're
But
not getting round to standing up at Man United, are we? Oh, right.
But I mean, Blackburn have only been in the top flight 16 years since the war. You've spent most of that time in the second division, and that,
We've been in the Premiership ever since it started.
Yeah, but that's only been going 5 years, hasn't it?
Well, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying I feel Blackburn deserve to be there, but I mean, this is a friend of mine. This was just an opinion of someone I was talking to about Blackburn.
Well, we were in the league in 1875.
Yeah. I mean, you're both founding members.
Founding members, both of us.
Yeah, and you have a great history, 6 FA Cups.
You look at the teams round here. Well, I'm not even going to mention them who haven't turned up tonight. And you got like, the lads from like Preston and Blackpool. In the day, all big clubs in this particular area. And
they've all been
at one time we were all
where it started,
we were all on a level playing field with the likes of Liverpool, Everton. But at the end of the day, the big city clubs can come, you know.
There's a lot more support.
There's more support.
Yeah, I mean that's where Blackburn do fall down. Your catchment area is small,
Very
and you're
small.
in competition with a lot of other big clubs.
Yeah.
That's what you said about tradition. To get anywhere, you've got to lose that.
Yeah.
You've got to move forward. You can't stick with tradition.
I mean, do you feel that Bolton have suffered from moving from?
Yeah, they have. They've lost a lot of tradition, definitely. Yeah.
I do not like sitting down in a game. I always like to stand up. I mean, 20 years ago, we'd come to Rovers, all your local games. It was a much better atmosphere standing up, and that's what we miss now. I mean, we've got a fantastic stadium, I mean, seat for seat.
It's beautiful.
It's probably as good as anywhere in the country.
The thing where when we came to your stadium the other year and stood up, we couldn't see half of the game for a bloody supermarket stuck in where.
That saved us. That saved us from going under. So I mean, it was a necessary evil.
Save you, but it were awful. We had to pay money and stand there and watch somebody go bloody shopping, haven't we?
Well, ain't got a better position like where you could have seen round it.
Not do your shopping while you were there.
It's only my shopping, but you went so much.
You can pop into the ground. Yeah, you can do that down at Selhurst Park too. Pop into Sainsbury's, put your shopping in the car, and then hop into the match. It's very, very convenient.
You must
down
admit
there.
though, lads, it's better now, isn't it? Go to the ground, sit yourself down, you watch the match in comfort, you see all the four corner flags. It's brilliant.
But what a ground it would have been if you could have still stood up without bringing this Taylor report into it. I mean, you could have still built the same sort of ground, fantastic ground, but you could have still had standing areas, which they haven't done.
No, it's not standing areas you need. It's I think Arsenal have tried it. It's what they call designated singing areas, where you haven't got a seat. You buy a ticket for that particular area. You don't buy a seat. You go in, you sit anywhere. But that is, you know, where all your lads get together. That's a major thing that's, I think's happened since people have started sitting down. Everybody's split up. When you go away from home, it's different when you get together.
You're all together then, aren't you?
When you're at home, you're not. You split about. And I think that's something that what's looking at is these what they call designated singing areas. And I think that would improve your atmosphere at grounds. Like at Ewood Park, I think they made a major mistake in making the family stand above the Blackburn end. Because that's where you used to get all your atmosphere from. It should have been all Blackburn end supporters there and all your singing supporters in that end, which would have created more atmosphere apart from having the family stand above it. I think that should have been done elsewhere.
Because there's nothing more annoying than if you are an enthusiastic supporter who likes to sing than being around people who are always forever telling you to sit down, shut up. I mean, it drives you mad, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's not only singing, it's the swearing as well. You've got them now, the clubs, whereas everybody goes through a match and you let off steam and everybody lets a few words go.
Yeah.
But now you've got stewards running around telling you give over swearing and this, that and t'other. It's a football match. People go, you know... You don't try to offend anybody. You're not trying to offend anybody, but if something happens on the pitch, you don't, oh, excuse me, that man kicked our man. It just doesn't come out right, does it?
The blighter.
You know, you can. It just doesn't work, does it?
No, there's got to be freedom of expression and singing in the grounds, yeah. And on that note, we're going to wrap this show up. Thanks very much.
I think England, they're in the best group. They're in the easiest group. It gives them the opportunity to get to the next stage, and I think they could do very well.
Brian Robson-style figure, captain and player-manager. Salford Snooker have been going for 3 years. Undoubtedly the man with the hardest job is Big Eddie. He tries to keep the ball out of the net.
I'm Mary Parkinson, and today I'm at the Clip, the famous training ground of Manchester United, and I'm talking to Alex Ferguson. It's extraordinary at the moment. The press are almost too pro-United. If you believed our popular press, all United have to do is turn up. The other teams will lay on the ground, kick their heels in the air and give us 3 points. But that's just, and the Championship is done and dusted, but that is just not the case, is it?
The fortunate thing is that the press may go about their business that way and try to build up this great euphoria about United and unbeatable and all the rest of it. But I think the people in here are a bit wiser.
Yes.
We remember losing the week to Leeds. Yes. We remember having the 12-point lead over Blackburn Rovers, getting whittled down to, I think it was 4 points when they beat us at Blackburn, but eventually winning it. So remember these things. These are experiences which benefit you when the time comes for digging in and getting results when you're not expected to get them, when you're playing badly. And that will come. Believe me, that will come. There'll be times in the run-in when you play badly and you hope you get something out of it.
It's nice, though, for the United players to have good things written about them. I mean, over the years, United, particularly recently, United have won an awful lot, but the individual players have not been cited for many awards. And there have been players that have been more criticised than our players have been praised. And I, for one, enjoy reading the accolades that at the moment that are being...
Well, I think from a player's point of view, I think that it's always nice to read good things about you. And most people do that. I tend to not read the press anyway, you know, that I tend to be more long-term view about the thing. I tend to be a bit one-eyed about the job, you know. I think I have to be that way. But I can appreciate what it does for players. Confidence is a big part to play in any player, and what you're seeing with Andy Cole at the moment is a combination of his confidence soaring through his fitness.
Yeah.
And people would look at Andy Cole and say, well, why is he playing so well now? But people forget that he's had a continual injury problem. I mean, 2 broken legs, which is in itself a major injury. He had the shin splints operation in his first summer with us.
Pneumonia.
Pneumonia, and then he had an abscess. And so, in pneumonia, for instance, it takes you 6 months to go over.
Yeah.
So when you look at all these things, it's not surprising he wasn't producing his very, very best. But now he's fit and he's flying. He's making a great contribution to the team.
He must be some young man to have survived all that flack and all that criticism, to have taken all that and just and just got on with it.
Yes, and I think that's made him a better person too, because I think he's very wary of doing a lot of interviews, because he knows that it can turn immediately for him. And the press, unfortunately, that's the way the press are. They've got a job to do. They're competing with television. They're competing with this interview, that type of thing. They're competing with instant news, so they have to create another level of media attention.
Don't you think that at the moment too, United's fortunes and England's fortunes are sort of inextricably linked? Because there's so many of the United squad in the England squad. There's sort of the two are running parallel. Almost.
Well, I hope so. I hope it'd be very good for English football, for the English national team to do well in France. I think.
And Scotland too, obviously.
Well, they're set to do well. The master race is going to be. Teams are trembling. Brazil, financial crisis in Brazil since the draw. People are leaving the country. But England have a genuine chance of getting to the final, I feel. Whereas Scotland will do well to qualify from their section.
They certainly will.
That'll be a major
tough
triumph.
Group, that, isn't it?
So people were looking at the Spain group, as they said, they called it a group of death. But I think the Scotland group is a very difficult group. Norway, of course, are
they've got half our team.
Yeah, no, I'll be withdrawing them for the Scotland game.
Yeah.
I'll be bringing them back. Can't possibly let them play against Scotland. They've been warned, been told. Morocco are a tough opponent, so it's a very tough group that. But I think England, they're in the best group. They're in the easiest group. It gives them the opportunity to get to the next stage, and I think they could do very well.
And do you think the international experience that the younger members, well, and Teddy Sheringham, Gary Pallister, that they're all having together with England is benefiting the players?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Experience of playing at the very top end of the game is always beneficial to players, and particularly young players, because it's a more lasting thing that they develop through that, and the maturity comes quicker. We're seeing that at the moment with our young players. They're maturing very quickly now.
I mean, this season, Beckenbauer, and to an extent, I mean, Ryan Giggs, his overall game this season his contribution to the game has been fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, what you're seeing with Ryan is the development of a footballer who has marvellous talents.
Yes.
Probably the most talented player in the British Isles. But with every talented player, that he has to develop other parts of his game, or eventually that he's only one-dimensional. This wonderful balance and ability to beat men and penetrate with running with the ball. Now Ryan is passing and running without the ball, and is adding these things to his game, which is making him a more full player, a more complete player, and one who is at the peak of his game at the moment. And I think that you're going to see in the next few years him become a big star.
Because he's taken on that performance against Porto last season, which was probably his best performance in a United shirt to date.
I would think one of his
he's
best,
taken
yes.
and built on that and added all those attributes, the tackling back. I mean, he's always been able to do that. He's a great tackler,
he's always
Ryan
a marvellous
Giggs.
tackler.
Yeah, but
Tackler.
he does that consistently, particularly now when quite often you're playing the three men up front, Solskjaer, Sheringham and Cole, and then you have Butt, Beckham and Giggs in the midfield, and so Beckham and Giggs have to play a slightly more defensive role quite often. So he's...
Depending on attacking and defending and heading the ball off the line a lot. A big S in his jersey.
Superman.
As the crow flies, it's just 3 miles from Manchester United's Old Trafford ground to Littleton Road playing fields. Yet in footballing terms, the Premier League and the Salford Sunday League are worlds apart. At this level, the football is played purely for the love of the game. Salford Snooker play in the 4th division of the Salford Sunday League. They're the team that Billy built.
Get your heads up, you bunch of tarts!
The driving force is Boise, a Brian Robson-style figure, captain and player-manager. Salford Snooker have been going for 3 years. Undoubtedly, the man with the hardest job is Big Eddie. He tries to keep the ball out of the net. Morgie's the sniffer, the centre-forward. His job is to stick it in at the other end. And at the back is the Rock, Mr. Angry himself. That's Becky.
What about preparations for the game? Is it strict?
No. Yeah, it is strict. You must report in the Farmer's Arms at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Have about 10 or 12 bitters and then get bad, yeah.
Right, where's my trainer?
Well, Eddie's in goal. If you shut up a minute. I'll start with Morgie at left back there. Instead of Dave. Gary Pratt, Gary Ward and Sheffer in the middle. I'll start with Thorpe, Mark, and you put a kit on, Daz. Start with you up front as well. I'll be sub and Dave as well.
You guys are drunk.
Billy!
Got a problem.
Here's Morgie's signing on fee, lads. £3.
Someone upset.
What does that say? Well, I've got it in the car. What does that say? £4 it is now, it's gone up.
It's going to be a tough match, I think. First game of the season.
Did you take your glasses off to play?
Certainly, yeah. Can't play now. Can I look at the state of him? Jack Duckworth eat your heart out.
I've got a buckle over it.
You've got a buckle over it?
Yeah. Protecting my head. Straight up, yeah.
When did that happen?
When? Last Saturday.
So you've got to wear...
In here.
Yeah. What happened? Tell me what happened.
I can't really give you the full details because the police inquiries are going on at the moment, you know. But basically, there was a fracas in the snooker hall, and it went off. Three of them set about me, and I got a buckle over my head. Well, it was meant for my head. I managed to put my hand up, and ended up in Hope Hospital, Withington Hospital, microsurgery.
His wife was 4 days from giving birth, but he still had her out on the piss. He did. Couldn't believe it. He come over, 2 orange juices, and had a floppy head. And then he's trying to say hello, and that was too hard. I said, hiya, Wally, and he couldn't. You know, the question was too hard. Hiya, Wally. Hiya.
Well, that's it for this week. Join me next week for some more football talk with all the lads down the boozer. Don't miss it.